Hello everyone, my name is Jack, and I'm here today to discuss another terrible situation with you. I'm exhausted. I'm not sure how much longer this can go on. And what am I holding out for? I had a thing for him. I adored him wholeheartedly. Yes, I was as well. When we married, she was a younger girl. When we were in front of the altar, his parents cursed, and I pledged to God that I would love him forever and that only heaven would separate us. Why can't I return it? Do I have to torment myself every day just because I made those promises? I haven't felt this way about him in a long time. He doesn't love me either. He just cares about himself, his parents, and our kids. But who will fall in love with me? In these times of despair, I feel as if even God has abandoned me. How else could he have sent me to this family who sees me for what I am and only remembers me when they need something? Summer, please clean this up. Take out the garbage. Summer, Summer. Oh no. Could you please quit stomping your feet so loudly? I'm tired of it. I must inform Will of everything. Take the kids and leave this house. But who is going to let me go? Especially with children. Will's father won't allow me leave the house. At the very least, I hope I survive. Summer Inman wrote this in her personal diary, which she kept concealed from her husband and his parents. This diary was the one area where she could express herself without fear of being judged or even punished. 1983. Logan is a town in Ohio. A new evangelical church called Tabernacle of Faith opens in a small American town of barely 40,000 people, which none of the citizens had ever heard of before. David Oyedepo, the church's founder, arrived in town from Nigeria and informed the audience that he had an 18-hour encounter with God during which the Almighty told him that it was time to free the globe from the devil's oppression via preaching and prayer. David Oyedepo was a captivating preacher, which helped the Tabernacle of Faith Church gain popularity in Logan. Bill and Sandra Inman first met at this church. Bill was 18 years old at the time and spent his Sundays playing musical instruments at church. Sandra went to church with her parents as well. Sandra recalls that the young musician parishioner liked her parents a lot. I had no hesitation about allowing the young folks to perform at a wedding. Bill and Sandra had a son, Will, a year later. Will was born with his parents, went to church, and when he was 17 years old, he met in the Tabernacle of Faith with a very young 15-year-old summer chef, just like his father. Only with marriage did young people take their time and wait until Summer was 18 years old. Will's parents insisted on the young folks living with them after their wedding in 2004. Summer didn't like the concept, but her husband was very dependent on his father and couldn't risk upsetting him. As a result, she left her parents' home and moved in with the Inmans. Another watershed moment in the Inman family's life occurred that year. Bill raises his own flock and converts the family garage, which was previously used as a workshop, into a self-proclaimed church. Will's father has changed dramatically since reading Summer Inman's diaries. I don't even know who he is. He told us tonight at family dinner that he hears God's voice in his dreams and that he wants to share this insight with others for their own good. Will appears to be aware that his father is becoming a religious fanatic. I've seen him roll his eyes, but what does he have to say about it? Yes, to some, such as Summer, Bill Inman's plan may appear irrational, yet residents flocked to his garage, prayed, listened closely to their leader's speeches, and even gave gifts. Will and his firstborn son, Alex, named him in 2005. However, as soon as the baby was delivered, everyone understood that their family was in serious financial problems. Women were not allowed to work anyplace. They were simply required to perform housework because 4 adults and 1 infant cannot survive only on donations. Bill also announced that they were going to Florida during Will's uncommon part-time work at a family council. Bill and Will worked on construction projects in Florida while the women stayed at home with Alex. Summer's diary entry. With the transfer to Florida, not much changed. Will and his father are gone all day at work, while Sandra and I are at home with Alex all day and night. When will be able to stand on his own? I don't think I can wait that long. Bill Inman decides to return to his own state after concluding that a lot of money cannot be earned in Florida. However, due to non-payment of taxes, their Logan home was seized, and the court determined that subsequent redemption was prohibited. So they went to Vinton, which is not far from Logan, and rented a house in the countryside. Summer gives birth to 2 children, Kelly and Alana, there as well. Summer's diary entry. We are still without funds. Will desires that I bear him 12 children. I occasionally laugh in his face, which irritates him and causes him to stop talking to me. In 2010, Bill Inman, now officially the leader of Tabernacle of Faith Church, registers a nonprofit company called Mercy Ranch with his wife Sandra. He has a brilliant plan to create a home for orphans, widows, and the destitute on behalf of the church. But of course there was no money for the proposal. However, the new leader devised a solution to this problem. He devised a lottery in which the winner receives $200,000 and the rest 99 receive no less valuable rewards. The remaining monies would be used to construct Bill's dream home. Bill himself went door to door initially, inviting neighbors to join in the charity lottery through television and radio advertisements. The end result was breathtaking. Bill Inman was able to raise hers. The ultimate prize drawing was scheduled for September 2010. However, as you can expect, no drawing took place in September, more in October or November. Bill Inman just scammed those who trusted him, and he had no intention of repaying anyone. During this time, Will's father hires Adam Peters to take care of their property's landscaping as well as other domestic responsibilities. Adam sees Summer all the time and develops feelings for her. What he doesn't comprehend is that Summer and Will's relationship is in trouble. Nonetheless, he does not give up and pays attention to the young woman. Summer eventually filed for divorce. She grabbed the kids and went to see her parents. For the first time in her life, she landed a job as a bank cleaner. Unfortunately, as a result of her early marriage and constant confinement in the Inman home, she had no schooling and no employment experience other than child rearing. Summer didn't anticipate getting a better paying job, but she was relieved because for the first time in many years she felt autonomous. Nobody told her anything for the first time. Despite her dislike for Will, she didn't mind her father visiting the kids whenever he wanted. In her opinion, the children needed their father just as much as they needed their grandparents. Despite his authoritarian personality, Bill Inman treated the children with affection and care. It was unwise to reject this. In December 2010, a bailiff arrived at the Inman residence and ordered the family to vacate for non-payment of rent. Summer found out about it and went over to the house to get everything. When she moved home with her folks, she hadn't had time to pack. It was terrifying to walk into a house where she was now regarded a traitor. So she summoned Adam to assist her with the packing. When the Inmans discovered Summer had come with her new lover, they refused to let anybody into the house. They cursed them and threatened to burn all of Summer's stuff in the backyard if they did not leave the house. Even the police couldn't stop the fighting, as Will attacked and even beat up a police officer who came, while Adam, appalled by what he had seen, yelled that he would find and kill him. Summer decided to submit a report against her spouse the following day. She mentioned in it that Will had never been the same, that it wasn't until after the wedding that he had entire control of her calls, texts, and emails. He also dictated her luncheon and how much she should eat, how much time she should spend in the shower, and how much time she should spend outside. He even took her phone away from her on occasion, and Summer may be out of touch for a week, even with her own parents. He also disclosed to her that he intended to find a second wife, and without concealing from Summer, he registered on dating sites and freely connected with other women. Summer frequently wrote in her diary that she wanted to divorce Will but was terrified. This was an understandable fear. Will had repeatedly threatened her that if she divorced him, he would shoot her. The police obtained a statement from a terrified Summer, who had lived with the phobia for many years, and returned to the Inman residence. When pressed, Will admitted that he had taken his wife's phone away from her, but only so she wouldn't be able to chat to her boyfriend 24 hours a day. He did monitor her nutrition because he was concerned about her health. His responses did not appear genuine to the authorities, and he was barred from approaching his ex-wife, as well as receiving a fine and probation for his actions. The Inman family could not overlook, as it appeared to them, their son's maltreatment, and they responded, but already on Adam Peters. They stated in their statement that while working in their home, he shown an abnormal interest in Summer's young children, and that the subsequent presence of youngsters in his company could result in disaster. Of course, their lies were not proved after that. Summer's worst nightmare occurred near midnight on March 22, 2011. Summer was finishing up at the bank, which is located in the center of Logan. By then, the branch had closed, and all she had to do was clean up her workspace, dusting and carrying away the trash. She'd contacted Adam to say she didn't have much time left and would be home shortly. It was already 12 o'clock at night. Summer was running late, despite the fact that she had never been late before. Adam was becoming increasingly concerned. There was no telling what this person was up to. Peters made the decision to meet Summer. The ward's doors had already been locked. Summer was not present because no lights were turned on in the windows. Adam looked around the building but saw no one, so he proceeded to the dumpsters, where a young woman was emptying trash bags that had gathered over the day. Summer's belongings were discovered near the bins, despite the fact that she was not present. her handbag, mobile phone, and red jacket, which was laying in the grass further away from her belongings. There was no time to think. He instantly dialed the police department's phone number. The police arrived and searched the possessions before knocking on the bank and interviewing the security guards, who stated that Summer had left over an hour ago and they hadn't seen her since. 3 people approached in the light of the police car. They were, as it turned out, eyewitnesses to the kidnapping. The 2 women were out for an evening jog when they noticed a white Ford drive up to the bank cleaner's residence. 2 men in black masks exit the vehicle and shove the screaming woman into the passenger seat. Another witness raced up to the car in response to the woman's screams and attempted to save her. However, the blonde woman behind the wheel sprayed him in the face with a gas can, causing him to collapse, and the kidnapper's automobile sped away. Because the women lacked phones, they dashed to the local police station, where they hysterically interrupted each other while recounting what they had witnessed. The on-duty cops only laughed at their story, now certain that the night runners made it all up. Who would conceive of kidnapping a bank cleaner holding rubbish bags? But as it turned out, the story had become entirely true, because to the cops' sluggishness, it was now difficult to find Summer on a hot lead. Logan, as I have stated, that's why word of Summer's kidnapping by 3 mysterious guys quickly traveled throughout town. By the next morning, concerned citizens had formed groups to hunt for the missing woman. They combed through parks, vacant areas, and abandoned warehouses. Summer, on the other hand, was nowhere to be found. Will Inman attempted to fight his child support payments a week before she vanished. He was meant to pay $150 for each child, according to the court order. However, because his monthly wage was only $500, he requested that the payment be cut to $150 for all 3 children. Will also requested complete custody of his children, but the judge denied his request. Summer had no touch with anyone due to her long, solitary life, thus the authorities exclusively suspected the Inmans. They were discovered in the home of Bill's mother in a nearby town. They had not heard anything about the disappearance, according to all 3, and on the day of the kidnapping, they were in Cleveland looking for a new house. But they never arrived since their car broke down on the way, and they were afraid of being stuck in the middle of the night on a lonesome roadway till daylight. They had to go back to Logan. Besides, their old animosity against Adam returned, and they began to blame him for everything. The car accident could not be verified or disproven. During the interrogation, however, the police noticed a white Ford in the yard, which matched the description given by the witnesses to the kidnapping. A GPS receiver was removed from the car at the time. During the inspection, it was discovered that it had been turned off during Summer's kidnapping. The police also chose to search the Inmans' cell phones, which indicated that they had not left Logan that night. Police quickly got new information, which stated that at 7:30 a.m., the white Ford had stopped at a vehicle wash the morning of Summer's disappearance, when all 3 of them, Bill, Sandra, and Will, were dry cleaning the interior. The entire family was seized and interrogated. Bill, who was already being carried away by police, yelled to his old mother that they were not guilty of it was the devil's work that he and his parishioners were battling. The Inmans, as if possessed, repeated the same thing at the police station. Sandra assumed the blame from Sandra Inman's testimony only after it became evident that they had no alibi and were facing execution. Summer's kidnapping was my idea. I came up with the notion, and I was driving the white Ford that night. Of course, neither of us intended to murder Summer. I swear that was a mistake. On the evening of March 22, we drove up to the bank where Summer worked and waited for her to end her shift. Around 11:00 p.m., we noticed her by the trash cans beside the bank. I pulled up to her, and my husband Bill and son Will, who were wearing black masks and hiding their faces, forced Summer back into the car. We had no plans to murder her. We just asked that she let us see the kids because we are family. We'll use plastic ties to restrain Summer's hands and feet in an attempt to keep her from fleeing. He apparently tightened one of the knots around her neck. He overestimated his own might. Summer started to choke. Her face turned very crimson. Will wished to sever the connection but couldn't find a knife. The knife we were carrying had gotten under my seat, and by the time he found it, it was too late. Summer had died. Sandra Inman demonstrated where they hid Summer's body. It was an old well near Faith Church's tabernacle. Yes, it was the same church where Bill and Sandra had met for the first time. Then there's Will and Summer, the church where they'd married and where they'd gone for years to pray and confess. Sandra's words were validated by the autopsy. Summer had perished from asphyxiation. There were no other injuries discovered on her body. Bill and Will Inman were sentenced to life in prison in 2012. Sandra Inman, although accepting full responsibility, was sentenced to life in prison. However, the judge authorized her to apply for parole after 15 years. Why is this the case? According to relatives, the women in the Inman household never made any decisions. Only Bill was obeyed by the entire family. And if there was a nasty strategy to reclaim custody of the children, it was his. Sandra took the blame in order to preserve her husband and son. But she was never successful. Thank you for watching, gentlemen. Join the channel's mailing list. There will be several surprising stories ahead.